petition to come to grips with realizations.
Competition to come to grips with realizations. Gathering innate ideas for the fate for the fusion. Grasping expansion for the knowledge of knowing. How to make that picture of the figure. How to learn for the expand that expandency. Express for the basic steps of stones and stoners with authenticity. Hands to the dirty with the grind for the distasteful grammar for the tongue to be displayed and displaced for the replacing of perfection. Perfecting instead of perfection and per object for the course. React and respond to all those framing straight to the timelines without engagement. Habits to the habitual thinking around about repetition and not make senses within the ability for the lie to tell the truth. Time frames. Memory infuses being confusing, fusing to the spontaneous reaction. Heat with the energy reluctant. Not so much to feel the body, but the sentiments for the nose, the brain. Braille scale, the weight, friction. Frame it with the wave and compromise the venture for the incentive for events and courses of those who control, which is in and out of control for the divine presence and present that for the predominantly dominated. Famished elements and out of commission to growing pains. Sprout doubts and crop to proportions. Instead of distorted for the colorings and offerings and stationary, narrow-minded metal for the slow beats. Punishment not for the enslaved justice of forging forgiveness and picket signs and compliant companies to compare for the paragraphs. Parallels rarely spoken and poked with provocative pronouns. Scribble what's been described to me as distracting disasters. Disassembly cognitive thinking and provoke for the evidence revealing relevance. Disengagement intercourses. Pride for the detriment of final. This would be the fatality. Attributable. Outcomes to coming out of causes is that the grand opening opposed to positions encompassing every time that hand strike you. What good is a home with no one visits but the blues? I'll bar the windows and pray motion will find the way in. Unwelcome memories taking the life of their own fresh and full of energy. Mating and breeding inside of heads giving birth to half-breed thoughts that nest on the ledge of a high-rise. I am being chased out of my own body, following down misleading trails. Falling in deep thought without a shovel to dig myself out of it. I'll be the cemetery for questions unasked and liquidated for the lies, but nevertheless this month issue is honesty. Poetry. Freedom from perspective and freedom from making sense. There is no understanding this. Dots fade in and out of my mind, and sometimes I can't even find a connection. My pencil has a sharp mind and thoughts of its own, and that's understated but overwhelming, so I frequent these pages of illustrated sentiments, being careful of cautious words because your actions speak louder than verbs. Like armies of footnotes with no ground to cover. I'll revise my wants to fit needs, giving my an emotion sickness until you come along to sensitize poems with erasable pens. What good is a home with no one visits but the blues? This month's issue will be honesty. You'll find me in the centerfold of a playboy touching the private matters of revealing the naked truth. Hoping the question marks will disappears with comments to follow, so shake me till you get the effect you desire by now. Counseling for the marriage of concept, guitar strings dangled above my nose inhibition. Sipping on warm tea for companionship like songs in love with himself, so never mind the paper cuts and scars left in his hands. Cursing what doesn't exist and feeling lies, but nevertheless this month issue is honesty.
Hours ago was yesterday. Joy riding in the front seat of a van, driven by infidelity, running over spirits and killing pregnant hopes, and maybe that's the reason why I don't smile much anymore. There's too much on my plate to be absorbed. Leaked out into the tip of this pen, but I'm tired of writing like clocks no one knows exists, and resting these hands now and suggesting you speaking numbers because your words never add up and get drowning in a sea of vowels. Letters from unspoken words filling these lungs, and I'm choking on everything that you didn't say. Maybe I recycle the pages to get mental notes and place my resistance to the back burner like a blind man stealing my good looks, and I've been routed tomorrow. I'll get by with yesterday in my pocket. In the morning, be claiming yourself fine and be stagnant and laying handcuffed to my bed, what won't be unusual today. This world is polluted with your outline and echo. Lend my compassion 20-24 hours without supplication to multiply themselves for the sun, fool to be believing I had a bright future. It's the war between my mind leads me to sleep again, shake me. To get the effects you desire by now in counseling. Marriage a concept, guitar strings dangled above notes of division. Sipping on warm tea for companionship like a song in love with itself.
Templates of sin insinuating for the intermittent food for thought we waited to understand the weight was lost to be found in Olive Gardens. Templates of sin insinuating for the intermittent food for thought we waited to understand the weight was lost to be found in Olive Gardens of Eden, only to apply for the apple bees that pollinate the inane interpretation fulfilling spirit, mystical timelines and timeouts. Truth and historical oracles in history, only diversion for the nutrition and alphabetical alphas and omegas, omens with the rib cage to be created for the enriching, poor quality to poetry like baby back Buddha bellies, symbolizing the Siddhartha hath the heart for the vows. These would be the best of the dying sanctuaries that inspire the spirit into unto make salam salat alone. Not alone for the but the offering benevolence. Non-violence would not criminally act, but the temple of the templates we eat for the esoteric and bestow the best told. Between meals of righteousness and illiterate, for those who fed up with the manipulation of population controlled. Lies that truly stand outside the lines of space and time, for those who won't watch to stop to tell the time to stop watch. Words will we eat for the digesting, gestures most be encased in heartburns. World's biggest heart plate, above to that below for the belt for the foul play. Plagiarism for the kingship, imperialism for the personating for the NATO for the eagles and judging of the Eagles Day for the OJs and J's and bluebirds and tongue plays. Rest behind bars and 369s and institutionalized Zulu nation. Nationalities and anonymities convert the deities to the contractions like that for the immaculate conception of the reality. Really, relocated for the real estate to be the gates of the temples. Pineal glands and can't be penetrated for the label as terrorists. Invaded for the jaded for to medicate those dictations and web to internets. Inner endings of the series of the gold is defending your galaxies of phallic fantasies. And impregnated vacancies and to be aired. Vacancies of royalties, salt, currencies, dependency. Pins you to the tail like donkeys. So that's for the party for the pen you can make an ass out of us maintaining. This is the REM for the remedies. Remain for the bones and illusions, conclusions to be deterred. Until determined, ignorant and mind determined for the death to be the rent was too high to shove that joint for the ligament for the mention, the man for the dementia. Common sense in you for the fencing of the border for your grids of religions to rely upon intelligence. Your obesity, your obedience to the allegiance, alignment to the atonement. Plenty of fish in God's sea, the shells that will appear for the then disappear for the jellyfish. Swim, warm water, beautiful steam. You know what tides bring to shore, determining what moon does. It works for the against that, for the tides to wash and toss you back and forth. Till lessons learned, burning, receding, proceeding, recess and recessions of questions don't answer for the emotionally confused and giving up until you dissipate the awakening of the sun. Light to the coral to correlate to fates, fatigue to prenatal to premature. Nature is natural to the wonder for the flares of the solar rays. Sting devil's ray for the waiting underneath the floor of the shore, waiting to dreamscapes and one scoping, watching the dreamers that come near. Who would have only known the done to such nouns? Pre-advocates for the fatality be so surprised and confused that would repeat the act as though it was the first to cast. Keep running from what you earn, avoiding facing what you were facing till nowhere to run. Look at how much you hate for the where you are instead of changing it where you are. Needed to be an allowing for your divine yours to be having pride for where you come from or where you're going. You'll pay the cost of this to pay for the reminder, for the replicate, the faith, for the innate, for the rhetoric, for the ratio of rationalities, technicalities, or technical enough for the prototype, for the protocol, answers, saw, seen all things for the learn, time always in the line for the parallel, fortunes to tell for the tunes played, reverb for the actions done again, repeating chords to the coordinator for the coordinating, exclusive for the blind dates for the fate, make sight to seer, near for the dose is short, share there for the rest of the dose of the forest and barely back for the rarely seen those for the shortcomings and coming short for the came to short. All with the aborted for the supported portions and impotence with the competence. Sentence to be sent for the completely compelling and despair. Spread about for the cloud. Claw becomes blogged. Blind outside for the perspective. Spectating reality relocated for the founding deposits. Despised. Disparities. Paired intuitively. By the three. Trinity for the society instead of that for the trans to be pretended. Tenor topics for the subject for the objectives of re-letter. We are relative enough for the impact imposes. Heart beating each other for the words that they're going to say. Which tied to the union for the tie. Fun and the fundamentals for the fun meant to be filled. Emotions, emptiness, and less that for the fool for the folly. Many tally marks the spot. Art really calling for the cowards by the name indicates the dictator for out-of-state roaming. Ramifications and horns efforts of bullying. Bullshit for the yearning for the urinals. Intern for the turns and integrity. Integrating for the degraders. What you think for the teaching and taught. Taunts, that for the talk for the about to bring about for this the White House.
or while inside the house for the organic origins. Corruption, correspondence, and make identifying weight to the weight. Heavy the delay for the patients that are sick of the pain faced by their perpetrators. Agitated for the aggravated. Cultivation for the aggro came short for the growing. Knowing the hyphen, no wings will get you faking. Factors are not for the vacate for the also vacant. Renewable renovation sitting in ovations. Standing for no reason, that was to sit there for the theory. Symmetry for the indicating the denial.
You don't want to keep running from what you are. Avoiding facing what you would face until nowhere to run. Look at how much you hate for the where you are instead of changing it where you are. Needed to be an allowance for your divine yours to be having pride for where you come from or where you're going. You'll pay the cost of this to pay for the reminder, for the replicate, the faith, for the innate, for the rather, for the ratio of rationalities, technicalities, or technical enough for the prototype, for the protocol, answers, solve, seen all things for the learn, time always in the line for the parallel, fortunes to tell for the tunes played, reverb for the actions done again, repeating chords cordially coordinated for the coordinating, exclusive for the blind dates for the faith, make sight to seer, near for the those ashore, share there for the rest of the those of the forest and barely back for the rarely seen those for the shortcomings and coming short for the came to the short, all with the abortive for the supportive portions and impotence with the competence, the sentence to be sent for the completely compelling and spared, spread about for the cloud, clog becomes blogged, blind outside for this practice, spectating reality relocated for the founding deposits, despise, disparities, paired intuitively by the three, trinity for the society instead of that for the trans to be pretended, tenor topics for the subject for the objectives, real relative enough for the impact impulses, heart beating each other for the words that they're going to say, which tied to the union for the time, fun and the fundamentals for the fun meant to be filled, emotions, emptiness, and less that for the fool for the folly, many tally marks the spot, awkwardly calling for the cowards by the name indicates the dictator for out-of-state roving ramifications and horns efforts of bullying. Bullshit for the yearning for the urinals, intern for the turns and integrity, integrating for the degraders, what you think for the teaching and taunts, that for the talk for the about to bring about for this White House, or while inside the house for the organic origins, corruption, correspondence, and make identifying weight to the weight, heavy the delay for the patients that are sick of the pain faced by their perpetrators, agitated for the aggravated, cultivation for the aggro came short for the growing. Knowing the hyphen, no wings will get you faking. Factors are not for the vacate for the also vacant. Renewable renovation sitting in ovations. Standing for no reason, that was to sit there for the theory. Symmetry for the indicating the denial. Denoted, notice those circumstances and stands they chance to find the lean. Lean on to the high to the school for the thought for the conviction to come. Eluding for the loitering. Premises and premiere prematurely. Premeditates and mediators. Commentate. What's the taste of that waste of sense inside the smell before the penetrating for the impatience and patterns and turn to the projects like projects, gentrifications and projects of the society, sobriety, libraries, music, what you can find. These for the checking out the liberty for the dictated for the vaginal canals, penis penetrated for the provocative indicating channels, taking the day for this to make the creating for the child that will not have that creative natives, chose for the nauseating and deviant experiences, peer that boardwalk off the life of the board games, taking paces, dealt for the past, the currency for the pesos, and forethought for the paying attention for the temp, for the attempt for the tremendous tremors, trend for the settlers, content for the tenor heart for the beating for the eardrums, ceremony for the occasions and coaches, cured that for the Octavius, no matter what it would have been for the faith. It was given the promise for the peace of departure, of his own power for the spirit in the world. Christ Yahweh for the first time that world with the I wanted for the time for the day when we had that rich inside the life that was broken into the faith. Given for the promise of the jumpstart, that for the new, for the understanding for the underworld, the underwriting the rhythms in the long day of history. Reach out for the new generation of the children who was the first to come back for the last man standing up for the general elections. Elites for the lit to the wicked. Those are the wickedness and the rendering reality, the hard time, those who define. Getting to the front for the past, the pastors. Preaching for the full regulations regarding the regulars. Residing for the black sliding for the this to be the sliding back to the line for the cycle, the phases and labyrinth. Suppresses the serpents. Repeated for the repentance of the rather for that for the love for the passion for the you can have that for the love for the divine spirit, able to make those ways of the season visible, advise to the adversity, reveal self-perpetuating appetite for the fast forward the form of bites, suck the flavor to the fun and provoking excuses and exercise and exorcism, expedite expediency, deficiency for the deviants, developing for the countries and coincide for the countless time the second-hand chances to chase that chastity to share with the children for the future of their present states. The city said that they are still Comment that for the coming. Comments that for the coming back for the messengers of Messiah. With the media right for the wrong for the righteous. Right about the present for the presentations that was a notion. Notions that was the countless of countries. Countless and counted that for the same for the contraction for the contract to the contrary. Continue the concern for the conditions and consequences for the conversions of course to be the converted for the converse. Convoluted for the congress and the confrontations. Consider that for the constant, constipated, consequently, conspiring, consolidated for the council, confused with confidence. You don't want to keep running from what you are avoiding, facing what you were facing till nowhere to run. Look at how much you hate for the where you are instead of changing it where you are. Needed to be an allowance for your divine yours to be having pride for where you come from, where you're going. Real page cost of this to pay for the reminder for the replicate the faith for the innate for the relic of the ratio rationalities, technicalities. Technical enough for the prototype of the protocol. Answers, saw, seen all things for the learn. Time always in the line for the parallel. Fortunes to tell for the tunes played. Reverb for the actions done again. Repeating chords cordially coordinated for the coordinating. Exclusive for the blind dates for the faith. Make sight to seer. Near for those ashore. Share there for the rest of those of the forest and barely back. Back for the rarely saying those for the shortcomings and coming short for the came to the short. All but being aborted for the supportive portions and impotence with the competence. The sentence to be sent for the completely compelling and despair. Spread about for the cloud. Clog becomes blog. Line outside for the spectated reality relocated for the founding deposits. Despise, disparities, paired intuitively by the three. Trinity for the society instead of that for the trans to be pretended. Tender topics for the subject for the objectives of re-letter. We are relative enough for the impact proposes. Heart beating each other for the words that they're going to say. Which tied to the union for the tie. Fun and the fundamentals for fun meant to be filled. Emotions, emptiness, and less that for the fool for the folly. Many tally marks the spot. Awkwardly calling for the cowards by the name indicates the dictator for out-of-state roving ramifications and horns efforts of bullying. Bullshit for the yearning for the urinals. Injury.